I'm Tiffany Blackmon, and this is My So-Called Fabulous. Welcome, everyone, to Season 6. We're in about 1 or 2 in this season, and I'm so excited to bring all of the guests that we have this season, but especially this one. You know, I'm sure my friends are like, could you please not ask me on the podcast again? But this one, I couldn't help because the talent is so there, y'all. This fabulous man, Shayne Morrissey with Morrissey Home, is one of my best friends. He was on the show very early in our relationship in 2020, and we're going to talk about 2020 because where does your mind go when we talk about 2020? But episode number 48. Now, I want you to recall this too. We are on about 160 season 6, so I can't say I'm proud enough. So, everyone, welcome to the show, Shayne Morrissey.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here with you, Tiffy.
Oh, I just love you.
I
mean, gosh, what a special bond we have.
Yes, we do.
And I think the bond is, of course, our friendship.
Yeah.
But we're creative souls.
We are.
I mean, we
kindred spirits.
And we love the good stuff.
We sure do.
We do love the good stuff. So, back when you were on in 2020, you are a fabulous, incredibly talented interior designer.
Thank you.
You graduated from the Art Institute, and I want you all to go back and listen to episode number 48, and you can hear all about Shayne. But he's updated his life a little bit, well, a lot actually. But at the age of 15, you knew.
Oh yeah, I remember. I would always work with my dad in the summers, and my dad was a general contractor. And so I was always involved in the home building business. And I just had a love for homes from a really young age because that was such a part of my life. And we had a neighbor who lived across the street who was an interior designer. And so I didn't even know what interior design was until that. And I just became really obsessed with it. And I was about 15 at the time, and I just knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I majored in interior design in college, and then ended up working for a fabulous interior designer in Dallas. And then I partnered with my dad in his construction company, and we built a design build firm. And now I'm working on interior design exclusively.
Exclusively?
Yeah.
How happy are you just working?
I'm so happy.
Right.
Construction was a lot of fun. Most of the time it was busy, it was fast paced, but it was a family business. My sister and I were, after my dad retired in 2018, we were managing the entire construction business, the entire interior design business. And it was hectic and it was stressful, but it was very lucrative. And then 2020 happens, pandemic, we have all these issues with supply chain and we can't get product. And so it just became very chaotic to manage construction and design. So after a lot of thinking and talking with a lot of professional people, my sister and I made the decision to let go of our construction business and focus fully on interior design. And we've been doing interior design exclusively for about a year now, and it has been so beautiful. I've had so much more time to give focus to my design projects, and it's amazing what happens in your life, I think, when you really stop swimming against the current and you accept what's meant for you. And for me, that was, as far as my career goes, that was interior design.
Do you miss any part of construction, honestly?
I do miss, at times I do miss managing people, because I think that, when you have a team of people working with you and you've assembled them, there's a special bond there. And I think it feels good to be able to nurture a team. And so I miss that part of it. But I think that's about all I miss. I love interiors, and I like being a safe place for my clients, and I like being the good guy on my project. A lot of times in construction, the contractor doesn't always have the best news to deliver, especially when you're going through a pandemic like we were, and that sort of thing. So I miss a little bit of it, but I'm
not a
very
lot.
happy. Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So with interiors, I absolutely love. I mean, you've been to my home. I finish
Beautiful.
one and then I want to start it again. You're right, but I
Yes.
can't do
Yes.
that.
You caught the bug.
I
Yeah.
do. But with interiors, I mean, how do you express yourself and not take over the client's
Mhm.
expressions? For example, if I really don't my blue walls, I didn't like the blue walls in my home. If
Right.
you follow me on Instagram, you see blue. I didn't like it, but it was made, I mean, Bottega. Rebecca said,
Yes.
you better keep
Mhm.
that because it was so expensive. They're hand painted from Portugal. If you are seeing something that you love, but your client loves something else, how do you balance that?
That's a really great question. It's very important to me um, that I'm serving my client's best interest, and that at the end of the project, they're going to feel the most at home in that space that they ever have anywhere else. And so I I always want to make sure that I'm respecting their likes and their taste, but sometimes people don't know what's out there until they're working with an interior designer. You may not have any idea how the extent of, what exists out there. And so a lot of times people are, limited by what they've seen, and so I like to introduce new ideas and, new finishes and tiles to people that they haven't seen or thought of before. And so, the end result ends up being a combination of my client's taste and my style,
Mhm.
because really I have found that in my career that I can make almost any style look good or any taste look good, because it's really the way that you assemble it and put it all together.
Have you ever done a project and you say, I didn't like that?
No.
No.
No, I have never got, and thankfully that I'm very lucky for that, but I have never come to the end of a project um and not been proud of it, or thought that it just wasn't something that I wanted to, put out into the world. I've been really lucky to have clients who really value my opinion and respect me, and so we work together, and I think in the end we're always both happy.
I mean, that is amazing
Yeah.
because I'm assuming, I mean, people just don't, maybe they do. Do people just go down the yellow pages and pick an interior designer? No, right? They seek
Right.
you out, right?
Yes, and so usually in my business, it's about 80% word of mouth. So people who are coming to me for interior design that maybe their friends worked with me or their family, and the rest of it is coming from magazine ads and Instagram ads and things like that.
Accolades for you. I mean, you have been G Magazine. I mean, interior designer, you're just so, I mean,
Yes.
you're all that.
Well, thank you, but we've been really fortunate to have some great editorial pieces. D Magazine has been a great partner to us. And so, yeah, it's been great.
You said to me last week, actually, you design for everyday living.
Yeah.
You would think that that makes sense. So describe that to me because I'm not sure every part of my home is for everyday living. Explain that to me.
Well, so just to address the first part, designing for everyday living means creating a space that, your whole family can live in. And people are, like for your home, for example, you and Greg are in a different phase of your life than somebody who's in their early 30s and just building a family and who maybe has 3 dogs or something like that. So your home is designed for your everyday living.
Okay.
Um, and so, I wouldn't put the same materials in your home that I would put in a home for a young family, because their home is going to get a lot more wear and tear with all those kids and the pets being in there.
Right.
But designing for everyday living is really about, taking your own needs into account or your clients' needs into account, and creating a space that they're going to be excited to live in and host in and spend their lives in.
You have said, and we have talked about this before, because, I love instant gratification.
Yes,
I want,
I'm guilty. Yeah. Mhm.
I want my house ready for my next event. I want
Right.
the room ready. I want the art in. I want the rugs in. And we talk about 2020.
Yeah.
That was very difficult to source products and supplies, right?
Yes.
So I've had to learn to just be calm and to be patient, and I hate it.
Mhm.
How much when you go into a project, all right, what is the time span? I mean, how much when you take on a project, what is the time? I mean, I know it's different, but what are we thinking about here?
Well, it depends because some of my projects are new build projects or they're remodel projects, and so we're selecting all of the fixtures and finishes that are going to go into that home. That process usually for the selection process takes about 3 months, and you've got to order the product. But we haven't had we haven't had lead time or supply chain issues recently with hardware and with tiles and things like that. It's more furniture. The
Mm.
furniture industry is still backed up from all of the supply chain issues that occurred during COVID. So if you're ordering a custom sofa or a custom chair, you're probably going to be waiting about 12 to 16 weeks still. Um, Before 2020, it was about a month, 4 to 6 weeks. So um, there are long extended lead times, but we've also found that in retail environments, companies like our house or um, let's say Restoration Hardware, for example, they have a lot of product that is in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Crate and Barrel is another one that has a lot in stock. And, designers can be a little bit stuck up about ordering from trade only resources. They don't like to shop retail because they want to give their clients something that's rare and exclusive. But recently, we've had to change our perspective on that. And certainly, I've been sourcing a lot of retail product for clients just so that we can get them into their homes faster and get them on their way. Yeah.
Right, right. And is it do you try to source from American made because it's right here in America and you don't have the shipping? Is the shipping still an issue?
The shipping is still an issue. It certainly is. Some of the ports are still backed up. And so
Mm.
you may order a product that it says it's in stock and they have 12 of them in Indonesia, but you really don't know when you're going to get that because it has to come from overseas. So really, in my business, we've always tried to source from product that's made in the USA because it tends to be more durable. A little bit more time is spent upholstering those products, and we have an incredible resource here in the United States for furniture in North Carolina.
Of
So
course.
there's a lot of great product to source from here.
So those are the people listening right now, your community, my community, that community that's saying, this is all great and fabulous, but I can't afford an interior designer.
Hmm.
But I have found too that you can't not afford. You know what I
Right.
mean? You need to actually do that. What phase do you hire an interior designer, and how can it be affordable? I mean, tell us some
Yes.
issues.
That's a great question. So, if you are building a new home or you're going to have a remodel in your existing home, your interior designer should be one of the first points of contact because they are going to be the party who's holding your hand through the whole thing. They can also help guide you with the architect on, designing the floor plan. They can get input on lighting design. And so, you want to have an interior designer on your team pretty early in the process. And for those who are purchasing a new home and they want to update it, they want to furnish it, the interior designer might be the first person you call before you even hire a contractor because they can give you some tips on what you can do to refresh your home and to bring it up to date.
Someone asked me the other day, we were talking about you actually, and I think people think that interior designers is just ordering furniture or rugs, and that's not true.
Right. Yes.
Explain that.
Well, and an interior decorator is somebody who they don't have a degree in interior design. Interior designers have you really should have a degree if you're calling yourself an interior designer because that's just historically you're formally trained. Interior designers have the ability to draft floor plans just as an architect would. they are very involved in every step of the process. So they do window and door selections for homes. They call out all the finishes, they make the finish selections, and they, of course, furnish homes as well. So there is a very wide range of the industry. There are some designers who, for instance, I work with a planning designer, Carolyn Wilson. She's amazing. I work with her, and she's an interior designer who only draws floor plans. So she doesn't do any finish selection or furniture. And then you have designers like me who focus more on the finishes and the home furnishings aspect of interior design.
I mean, in paint alone.
Yeah, paint's
Selecting
tricky.
paint. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. Paint
Mhm.
nightmares, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
just think about that, y'all. Oh, my
Yeah,
gosh.
you don't want to pick the wrong color.
No, they come home and it's all the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
No, yeah. That's happened to me. Actually,
It happens.
it happens.
Mhm.
But paint is cheap.
Well,
It can, but not the
the can
application.
is cheap, but not the application. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you have vendors and you have people that you work with that you only trust that.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes. When you find now, I also work with really great builders and contractors who have their own teams of people. But when you find those really good tradespeople, it could be a tile layer, it could be an electrician, what have you. It's just great to stick with them because they're hard to find.
Absolutely hard to find. And again, there's the good and the bad.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's some people yeah, something in the creative space. I honestly right now have found in my industry and yours too, if someone calls themselves a photographer,
Mhm.
okay, and charging exorbitant amount, you better look at their
Yes.
experience. It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing. People think they're a photographer. I mean, look,
Yeah.
my dog could be a
Yeah, you want to
photographer.
look at you. Well, it's the same thing with interior designers, interior decorators. You want to make sure that you are looking at their experience and you want to make sure that you're looking at their portfolio to make sure that they really can deliver a beautiful product.
Mhm.
So it's important. You got to do your homework with that.
So tell everyone what your style is.
So my style really it's very personal. And when I'm styling my own home, it's not necessarily what I would do for a client unless that's what they requested. But I tend to love things that come from different places, different sources. I don't furnish my home all at once. I do the key pieces first, probably starting with the rug, moving on to bigger pieces. I love a lot of art, and I don't pay a lot of attention to finding the perfect piece for just the perfect space. When I go and I see art and I'm shopping for it, I'm just shopping for what I love. And if it speaks to me, I buy it and I find a place for it in the house. And so and how that translates to working with clients is that I like to make spaces feel very personal, make them feel somewhat organic. I think that it falls really flat when you have a space where you're only using two different color tones or you've purchased your furniture all from one place. It really has to be textured and layered in order for the space to have personality and feel like it's an elevated design.
I mean, y'all, Shayne's home is absolutely him for sure. But it's so, I want to say well thought out, but it's really not, is it? I mean, you've got collections from
Yeah.
every art.
Yeah.
When you walk through your home, you have a story.
Yes. It's thought out in the way that I make sure that the rugs are sized appropriately for whatever room I put in. That the spaces are well appointed, but when it comes to accessorizing an art, I don't shop around until I find this like perfect one piece to go on this table. I
Mhm.
find the piece and then I find a place for it in my home.
Speaking of one piece, I shopped and shopped and shopped for this desk to find this.
Yes.
And I'm not really sure I found it yet, but I do love this
I
piece.
love it.
I mean, it's great. But
Yeah. Who did the florals?
oh my gosh. So here in Fort Worth, not far from here downtown, Camellia Farm Flora.
Oh, amazing.
Tammy is amazing. And she did this. She actually did two. And you and I looked at it for the size of table.
Yes.
It's all about space too,
It is.
right?
Space and scale.
Scale.
In interior design, scale is so important because if if things are out of scale, if like let's say you buy a beautiful console and it's big and it's ornate, and then you get these two squatty little table lamps to put on it, it's going to look really awkward. And I find that most of the time, people tend to under-furnish their spaces, or they buy things that are too small all the time. People are afraid to fill their spaces. But what happens when you buy sofas that are too small for your living room, or especially rugs that are too small, that's one of the biggest things. What happens is you end up making your space feel smaller. If you purchase bigger pieces, then it fills out your space, and you're maximizing that, and it looks great.
Okay, people, as a chef, people, and they've told me this, and I think it's absurd. They don't want to ask me over because they don't cook well, or they don't feel like they can entertain. So do people get stressed out when you go to their home? Because you're analyzing. I know you aren't. Right? You're judging.
They do. My friends they're always concerned about that because I'm an interior designer, but I don't. The truth is, I really am not judging. When I go into someone's home, that is a rule I set for myself a long time ago, is that I'm not going to judge people's homes.
Yes.
I'm
staring at him. If you're on YouTube, you can see.
It's personal to them, and I really try not to judge it. Now, it's a different. Now, that's what I mean. If I'm coming over to your house for a barbecue or something, I'm not judging your house. Now, if you're reaching out to me to hire me, I'm taking everything into account, and I'm making notes. Let's say that.
I understand what you're saying. And I want people to invite me to their homes. No one invites me over. You just invited me.
I just invited you over.
You had a beautiful charcuterie. Did Sam do the charcuterie?
He did.
Your partner is...
He's so awesome.
Perfect balance between, like Greg and I. Greg has no desire to be creative.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And it's a perfect balance for sure. Okay.
Yes.
I digress. All right. All right. So I want to play a little game.
Let's do it.
We're going to get our inner Andy Cohen going here.
I love it. I love it.
Y'all watch Bravo? I love some Bravo. Okay. Do's or don'ts. All right.
All right.
Do or don't. You ready?
I'm ready.
Wallpaper.
Wallpaper is a do. I love it. I think it is a way to very easily add a ton of personality to your space. It can be so personal. There are so many different papers, and now there are so many fashion designers who are collaborating with wallpapers and photographers, and it's really cool. And wallpaper, people say it's made a huge comeback. I think it never went out of style. I just think that the different colors and things sort of trended out. But
do you really? Because I remember when you just didn't do that anymore. And they'd wallpaper.
Oh yeah, people stopped doing it and covered it up. But I love wallpaper. I wouldn't wallpaper a whole home, but it's an amazing thing to use in your dining room or your powder bathroom. I wallpapered my powder room right when I bought my house,
and it's fabulous.
Yeah, because if you're sitting in there for any amount of time, you want to be surrounded by something pretty. So I wallpaper the powder room.
I spend a lot of time in my powder room. I'm just telling you. Greg says I can get more done sitting on the toilet.
That's right.
Eat a sandwich, reply to emails, whatever the case.
Whatever.
Put my makeup on. I got this.
Yeah.
But I love your paper, and I love my paper. Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, hardware, go.
So hardware, well, the question that comes up with hardware a lot of times is in regards to mixing metals, that, people are afraid if they get a brass faucet to then get black hardware for their cabinets. But I love mixed hardware. I think you have to do it kind of be smart about it. So it doesn't look messy, but I love it. I think, if you look at what I'm wearing, I have a gold and silver watch on, it's nice to mix things up a little bit because it elevates it.
Yeah.
It just elevates it. If you go into and there's nothing wrong with a builder grade home, but if you go into a builder grade home, everything's the same. It's all uniform, and it just doesn't feel like anybody gave thought to the design or the personality of the space.
Hardware is like jewelry.
Oh, it is. Hardware and light fixtures. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you want high impact, spend money on hardware and light fixtures, because it really, the way it feels, like the way that an expensive doorknob feels in your hand and how it reacts, it sounds so silly, but it's completely different than a cheap one. So I always say it's a good thing to put your money into.
Okay. All white.
All white. If you're going to have an all white interior, the shell being all white, then you really want to furnish that and with textures, and you want to layer in different colors and different elements and art, because an all white interior is very boring. You've got to have some wood tones and, you know, a little personality there. So I say no to the all white interior.
Really? Because
Yes.
that was a big trend?
It still is. Some people really like that, but it doesn't feel comfortable to me. It's not, I just don't think it's really conducive to everyday living.
Right. And you know, actually my kitchen was all white. We added some gray, and then
Yeah.
finally I said I couldn't do it. I had to add color because I love color.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
color is my best friend.
Right.
You know, I can't get enough of color.
Yeah.
I mean, look what I'm wearing today.
Yeah,
Look at it.
I love that, by the way.
Okay, this is, do you know Olive von Osberg in New York?
Yes.
She, oh gosh, she sent this to me. I just love it. She's an artist, and
Beautiful.
I mean, I know, it's art, and then she decided to put it on clothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I love her, love her. Okay, what comes first when you're designing a room?
So when you're designing a room, like let's take a bedroom, for example. You are going to start with a rug. If you're starting from scratch, start with the rug. Find a beautiful rug that you love, because what you can do is take that as your foundation to build from, because a rug can have so many different colors in it, or it could just have a few, or it could be very neutral, but you can use that to build from. And when you're going and you're getting your swatches for your upholstered bed, or for your, let's say, your bedspread, your bedding, you can reference the rug. And so I think that's always a great place to start. And then from the rug, you want to build up to the next biggest piece of furniture. So you're going to pick your bed, then you're going to know how big your nightstands need to be to fill out the rest of that wall. Then you can do your lamps. So you kind of you're working from the ground up, and you're working from the rug and then to the largest piece of upholstery down to the smaller pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that, because rugs are expensive too, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean, you should invest.
I think rugs are a really good thing to invest in. Some of them are, like the handmade ones, they are resellable. You're going to take a huge hit when you resell it, but buying a well-made handmade rug is an investment. If you go and you purchase an inexpensive rug, you can't resell that for any good amount of money. So I say start there. A good rug can last forever. Persian rugs will last for, I've purchased some antique ones and put them in people's homes, and they're almost 200 years old.
Right,
So,
right.
they last.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mixing art.
Mixing art. I'm an art collector, so I mix all different kinds of genres of art, different colors, different subject matter, and art is something that I really encourage my clients to go out and find for themselves. I help clients with art as well, but art is really personal to people. And the way that I feel about a piece and what I see in a piece of art, you might look at it and not see the same thing at all, or not be inspired by it.
Right.
So I encourage people to buy original art. It doesn't have to be expensive. Everybody thinks that original art is always thousands of dollars, and it certainly can be. But it's an amazing thing to be able to support artists who are a little bit new and green in their career. And so I like to go to art events here in Fort Worth and, find that little booth with that special piece that I like and buy from that artist. And then it's really cool to be able to watch their career down the line too, when you have a piece of theirs that they started out with.
I love that. And art does speak to you. And it's interesting because you can gaze at a piece of art and just look.
Yeah.
We have a piece. I bought it. I mean, I loved it, but I saw something else. I saw a very abstract piece. I didn't really see anything in it, but I had someone come to my home and they're like, "Do you love crosses?" And I'm like, and he said, "I see the cross in this piece of art." I'm like, "There's no cross in here. There's not a cross." He swore there was cross, but so what he sees versus what I see is amazing.
Yes.
You just sit there and stare. It's like staring at the clouds.
Right.
Right?
It is.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it so
Yeah.
much.
Love art.
Okay, so the people that are listening, how can they find you? Because you are so talented and you're a gift to so many people. So
Thank
how can
you.
we want
Well,
if we want to, and you're very busy.
yes, I would love for your followers and your listeners to follow along. So on Instagram, it's Morrissey Home, and my website is morrisseyhome.co.
That's it.
That's it.
Morrissey Home. Okay,
Mhm.
everyone, you heard it right here for sure. Well, I simply adore you. We've got a wedding coming up pretty soon.
We do, yeah. November 4. I can't
Oh,
believe
I
it.
know. I
I'm
can't
so
believe it.
excited.
And such a beautiful relationship.
Thank you.
Just like you.
Thank
Can you
so
tell I like
much.
this guy just a little bit?
We like each other a little bit.
You can find us together every Friday night for
That's
sure.
right. Yeah.
Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this because, art does speak to you, interior speak to you. I mean, whatever speaks to you. I mean, how your home is your home and you have to feel comfortable in your home for sure. So everyone, rate, review this show. Let us know what you want to hear. We're trying to get up there in that YouTube world for sure. And everyone have a beautiful day and keep being fabulous.